This is the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Kick back and hang with your hosts, Kayode, Lewis, and Joel. Let's mark out.
Yes, y'all. Welcome to the show. I'm your boy, Kayode. Welcome to episode 88 of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. I'm joined by none other than the rest of the band. We got Joel and Lewis. Fellas, what is going on, y'all?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. This is Lewis, the administrator. I have some disappointing news, ladies and gentlemen. I do not have an administrator's report this week. This episode is pretty much going to be straightforward, seeing as how we're about a week and some change from the show of shows, the granddaddy of them all. And we're getting to the point where the road to WrestleMania is burning us out a little bit, and we just want the show to get here.
Yeah. I think we're at the point where, all right, let's just get this over with already. A lot of people are down though. A lot of people are down on this build. They're down on the matches. They're saying, what's up with the 3-ways, the fatal 4-ways, and it's not just WWE on their main roster. We're talking NXT has like a couple of triple threats for stand and deliver and all that stuff. And I'm not hating it. I think it's just, I think H is like, I want to get everybody on the card. I want to make sure everybody who deserves to be on the show be on the show. But this specific match now has got my attention. This match, Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton. I'm in right now. They went at it for the last few weeks. It was lukewarm at best, and now we're looking at like a full-fledged, we hate each other. So, Joel, what do you think, man? Like, has this match now gotten your attention since they went into business for themselves last week on SmackDown?
Yeah, man. I think honestly, before this, when they had the satellite interview thing as well, I think that one was kind of like intrigued me a little bit just because of the back and forth. It was mostly Charlotte. But now this past Friday, this was it was interesting. I don't think they went into business for themselves or anything. I do think these lines, for the most part, were probably planned. It's
really?
Just the crowd. Yeah, I think the crowd kind of hijacked the segment a little bit because it seemed to me like they were going for almost like the Cody Cena style back and forth. You say a jab, I'm gonna say a jab. But the crowd just didn't let Charlotte speak. So then they tried to like just rush all of their lines. Because there's no way. I mean, I don't think there's any way WWE would allow them to just go into business for themselves. Like if it is, then we got to start talking about WWE the way we talk about AEW, right? Everybody says AEW's ran like terribly because they let the Bucks and CM Punk fight. Right, so we can't let this go into them going to business here, and everybody just lets it go. I think this was planned, and look, it's intriguing. It's the first topic of the show. It got us to talk about it, so it's working.
True. I don't know, Joe. I don't think this was planned, man. I think this was. I think and you got to remember Charlotte's reputation and track record with other people on the roster, superstars of the roster, ain't the greatest. Sometimes she kind of goes a little too far in terms of making sure she jabs and gets in her blows and stuff like that. And this is, I think, but here's the thing. I think Tiffany got really, I think she was like, yo, F this, F what you just gave me in the back. this is what I'm going to hit you with. You want to go on the Sherry Shepherd show and talk about your relationship and all this stuff. I'm going to hit you with it. And I think Charlotte had no idea. I think that blindsided her because of that Kaiser comment that she made, and the way she said it and did it was like, oh, okay, you want to play that? I don't think this was planned at all, bro. I think they're not that good of actresses to be like, yo, this is how it's going to go down. Lou, what do you think, man? Like, I don't know. I don't think it was planned.
This has been the talk of the internet for the last few days. What happened there when they went off script? I mean, there's a lot coming out of it, like, conflicting reports. But some of the stuff that I'm reading is that they did go off script, apparently, but they didn't get reprimanded for it in the back. Maybe because of the fact that Charlotte Flair is heavily protected in the business. We know this. But I think I read somewhere, unless I'm going crazy, that there was probably a little bit of heat on Tiffy. But again, that goes back to Charlotte being protected, right? If anybody's going to take the fall, it'll be Tiffany Stratton.
Oh, yeah.
I think it came across very awkwardly towards the end. Like they actually did go off script especially when Tiffany gives that dig at her love life and like, oh, what are you in outside of the ring? Like, 0-3.
Yeah.
So, I'm like,
come on, that's a bar. That had to be written. You can't come up with that so quick.
But that's another thing. Look, Joel has a good point because at the timing, it's a little too convenient for her to bring that up after Charlotte Flair was on the talk show. And she, had given this whole emotional story about how the whole divorce went down and she wanted to keep it low profile, this, that, and the third. But Charlotte seemed genuinely flustered because she just, it almost felt like her saying, oh, why is Ludwig Kaiser in my DMs?
Yeah,
that almost seemed like it was an act of desperation.
Yeah, that was an act of desperation. For sure.
It definitely was.
Right, like she didn't know how to respond to Tiffany Stratton in that moment, and she also didn't know how to respond to the crowd because the crowd they were noticeably hijacking the segment a little bit. So it was very interesting because you don't see Charlotte Flair get flustered like that. And I don't think that's a performance that you can put on. That's like right. when you're taking it back, you're taking it back. And you could see that she was visibly trying to play catch up in the segment and trying to end it on a strong note, but she ended up looking more awkward than anything else. So the question is, does WWE play on this on SmackDown this week, where they just turn it into like part of the story? I mean, who knows? Obviously, it's part of the storyline. It's part of the angle now. If anything, it made the angle juicier. It needed a little bit of more sizzle anyway.
You know what?
The match itself, I still am not looking forward to like that.
Yeah.
Here's the $1 million question, though. Who goes over? Personally, I don't really care for this match too much. It's interesting ever since that promo last week, but I would prefer if Tiffany Stratton just retained the title. Maybe they don't go that route. Maybe they give Charlotte the title. But I was telling a good follower, a dedicated follower of our podcast, my friend Gio, our boy Gio.
Nice. What's up, Gio?
He had he was questioning the authenticity of what was going on, kind of like Joel's stance. Yeah. But one thing I was explaining was that Charlotte is now in this category of sort of similar to where the Young Bucks are at, where the Young Bucks have this kind of heat, like the fans just don't want to see them anymore because they have this reputation, blah 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 blah. But the Young Bucks have already peaked. They've done every single thing that you could possibly do as a tag team. And I think Charlotte is now in that category too, where she's done every single thing that she could possibly do. heel turn, face turn, title win, WrestleMania main event, Royal Rumble win, Queen of the Ring, whatever. Like, she's done everything in WWE. So I think the fans are just like sick of her. Like, they don't even want to see her anymore. So if you put the title on her, I think it would be a mistake. I think the safer bet is to just have Tiffany retain.
But does Charlotte really have Tiffy pin her? Like, I think that
she don't need. Charlotte doesn't need the win anyway. She don't.
I'm telling you right now, none of that ish that we saw on Friday was planned. I'm telling you right now, this match has now gotten my attention because, like what we've been explaining, this looks like it's going to be like a lot of emotions, real emotions are going to spill into this. Unless they had a kumbaya moment, they were like, yo, sister girl, let's hug it out. Unless there was a moment like that between Friday and this coming Friday, I just don't see how Charlotte backs down and says, oh, I'm going to lay down for Tiffy or Tiffany, even Tiffy, but she has less of a say in this. Tiffy almost has to do the job if they tell her, yo, you're going to drop the title tonight. She can't argue with that. Her career just started. She's got no choice, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's got to do it. It's going to be, like you said, Lewis, this match is not interesting to me that much. The only thing that's really got my attention is because of what happened on Friday. The build for it's been weak. They have no chemistry in terms of like making this interesting. Charlotte is like what you said, like the Bucks. It's kind of like been there, done that. She came back with the same old gimmick. Like she came back after after a year or so being gone with the same old stuff, and Charlotte's just not doing it for me. I don't know. This match just it's kind of there.
I want to add something real quick about Tiffany Stratton. This is going to be my criticism. I think what this feud is doing for Tiffany Stratton is exposing her. Because as over as Tiffany Stratton is, and she's got the look, and her in ring is all right. Whatever, she's fine for what she is. But I think it's exposing her in a way that she may not actually be ready for this spot to be headlining WrestleMania in a women's title match against Charlotte Flair. I don't know, like, because prior to last week's segment, what was Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte doing to get my attention or anybody else? They weren't exactly setting the world on fire,
right?
And it almost comes across like Tiffany is struggling to. I don't know. She's kind of struggling to carry a feud.
Yes,
I don't know 100%. If that makes sense, but
no.
Yeah, if anything, right. To me, it's coming across like she's being exposed. Yeah. What do you think, Joel?
100%.
I think, I don't know. Maybe I'm giving WWE too much credit, but I think that's the story they're trying to tell. Like, you're not ready for this, and I think that's kind of Charlotte's position. And let me caveat this by saying I think I'm one of the few remaining like Charlotte Flair fans. I'm a fan of Charlotte Flair. I think she does her character well. I think that's her character. She is Ric Flair's daughter, and she plays it fucking perfectly. Like, she literally is a Nepo baby. She said it herself. I'm a Nepo queen. Like, and I think she has that heat because people actually believe that, which is very rare nowadays in wrestling, for us to actually believe that this person is a political person backstage and all. And maybe all this stuff is true, and maybe that's why it comes across as the truth on screen. But it works. It's almost like Gunther, right? Like Gunther, if I was to meet in person, I would believe that he is that ring general guy, even though we know he's just a normal guy at the end of the day. But his character is so well portrayed that I believe Gunther as a ring general. And I feel like with Charlotte, her character is, I'm better than everyone. That's her character. And she literally just iterates that over and over again. And I think that's the point of the story. And what they're trying to do is because they always did the comparison of Tiffy and Charlotte. So I think Charlotte is trying to prove that you're not me. You're nowhere near me. You're messing up on this feud. Like, it's like a meta storyline almost. And I think we are going to see Charlotte win at WrestleMania, but that's not the end of the story. I think Tiffy will get her win back when she proves she's just as good as Charlotte or whatever, in my opinion.
You raised some interesting points, Joe, but I'm gonna you giving WWE way too much credit.
Maybe.
I listen, man. I think everybody who anticipated Charlotte's return after that injury was thinking that, oh man, this is going to be the start of something fresh. Like, this is going to be it. We're going to finally get something. Charlotte's going to come out and be different, and she kind of didn't. I think people are tired of her. I think it's a weird mix, actually. Like, people will boo, but then they'll cheer. But we're fickle, right? That Brian Daniels said he said it perfectly. We are fickle, right? But again, will the match be decent? Maybe. I think they'll pull it together. They'll do business. I don't know. I feel like Lewis said, man, Tiffany got exposed or is getting exposed, and I think the lights are just a little bit too bright. I think she's choking under some of these promos against Charlotte, and I also think Charlotte's also kind of smothering her also. I think she's kind of like a haze, right? I think she's also like, yo, I'm going to meet you. I'm going to take it to another level, and I'm going to stay here until you get there.
Yeah.
And Tiffy's like, and then drops back down. She hasn't reached the moment yet. So
the story's working, kid. You see?
listen.
The story's
if it's legit what you're saying, man, or anything close, I give you mad props. But
what they should do is, you remember back in the day when I think it was a SmackDown. Lewis, you'll correct me. When Triple H was helping Trish Stratus stretch, and then Stephanie walked in. They should recreate that with Charlotte and Ludwig. Charlotte helping Ludwig stretch, and then Tiffy walks in.
Dude,
that's what they should do.
I'll be down for that. I would.
Yes, props to Streaming Joe, because that was in the summer of 2000. That was SmackDown.
Very nice, very nice. But we shall see. The saga will continue. We'll see what happens with this Tiffy and Charlotte of it all come WrestleMania. And we are next week? I think the 19th and 20th, man. Finally, we get Mania. And I want to go into Mania since we're on WWE right now. I want to go into the card, the build. What do you guys grade this year's Mania? Joel, I'll let you go, man. Like, where are you at with what we're seeing here, man? The card, the build. If you had to give me a letter grade, man, are you up on this? Are you down on it? What's the deal?
I'm definitely more up this week. Last week I was like, but this past SmackDown and Raw, I think, tied up a lot of loose ends. I'm really digging Jay and Gunther. Now that the whole Jimmy beatdown happened, Jay got serious on Monday wearing all black.
Yeah.
No eating.
Yeah, no eating. He had to eat on the shade still.
Yeah,
I was like, he could have lost that. If you really wanted to be serious, he could have lost that. But I liked it. Gunther actually looked shook. Like, he looked like, oh shit, I might have messed up. But that was good. I think that's gonna be a highlight of the weekend, even if the match isn't good. Just because if Jey Uso wins that belt, and you got however many thousand people are gonna be at Mania celebrating like crazy, that's gonna be awesome. So I'm excited about that match. I'm excited about the triple threat with the women as well. Even though the story's been convoluted, the match is gonna be great. So. And then, honestly, one of the matches I'm like not that high on is actually the main event of the whole weekend. Like, Cody and Cena, I know it's gonna be a fun like spectacle of a match.
Yes.
But I wish they did more, man. I really wish they did more with this build. and I said it last week, I think, but like John Cena turning heel, and this is all we got. Like,
yeah, bro, that's what I'm telling you. Yes,
yeah,
I 100% agree.
unfortunate.
My God, man, we get Cena to turn heel, and we are not going to see Homeboy up until he walks out in Mania. I don't think he's going to be I don't think he's going to be on any show next week.
He is on. Apparently, he's going to be on SmackDown.
He's going to be on SmackDown this Friday?
I saw a report. I don't know if it's official, but yeah, he's going to be on SmackDown.
If he's on SmackDown.
Not this week. Next week.
Oh, next week.
Yeah.
I need to see something. That's the go home show.
Mm-hmm.
I need Cena to. I need more. We need more. That's what that's all I'm saying. We need more. Cena, Cody. I know it'd probably be fun, like you said, Joe, but I'm just not. I don't know. And then, dude, look, come on, man. We getting Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. A Raw match or a SmackDown match. Like, come on, man.
Oh, man.
Come on, man. Lewis, what do you think of this card in the build, man?
Well, let me tell you something, brother. No, but in all seriousness, here's my fucking problem. As I'm looking at the art design that's promoting the main event, I'm just sticking with the main event of night 2, Cody versus Cena. Why is a heel Cena smiling?
Oh, good.
This goes back to what we have been talking about and criticizing. Like, if you're a heel, then be a heel. You don't fucking smile. Like, no. Like, you gave the champion a beatdown. You got the red, white, and blue 10-year-old kid baseball cap, and you're giving a grin, and it's not even a sinister type grin. Like, this, it's all about the presentation sometimes. Like, something as simple as the optics. Like, aesthetically, it looks nice because it just looks nice. But if I'm just looking at this and I wasn't really keeping up with the product, I would think that it was babyface versus babyface.
Yeah.
That's just what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's just weird to me, man.
It takes you out of it.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah, it takes you out of it.
It does. It does. You know, maybe they got something else in store with Cena's final appearance before Mania and or whatnot. But yeah, like, Cena should not be looking like that. If you're promoting a WrestleMania main event, like, you shouldn't be looking like that. Where's that look that you gave us on March 1st in Toronto with The Rock and Travis Scott? Like, where's that look? Where's that demeanor? Right here, you look like John Cena circa 2008.
Yeah.
Like, really? Anyway, as far as the card overall, you know, on paper it's pretty good. It doesn't feel grandiose. It doesn't feel WrestleMania-esque to a certain extent. But I think the show will deliver. It just doesn't have the same excitement in terms of build as last year. Like, that Fatal 4-Way match for the IC title, that's going to be good.
Yeah, that's probably good.
You know, the triple threat, obviously, that's main eventing night 1. That's going to be – there should be a pretty big twist there since it's main eventing night 1 and there's no title on the line or anything like that. So there should be something really big. I'm hooked with Naomi and Jade. This is Jade's time to put up or shut up. Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. I think the world is ready for Jacob Fatu to get a really, really big moment. Right. So, you know, overall, it looks like it's going to be a solid 2-night show. Mm-hmm. It just lacks the same oomph that last year had.
Yeah, I think there was just too much time in between. Like,
that's another thing too.
What is it? Extra 2 weeks we had before? Extra 2 weeks?
Something like that. And that's another thing. The timing is a little awkward because Easter. It's on Easter weekend, and Easter weekend happens to be like the third weekend in April, and that's a long time. Like, that's a long stretch of time from the Royal Rumble to now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is it's a plus because they've had ample time to build out and flesh all these stories. So props to WWE on that part. However, sometimes like if it drags on too long, you want it here already.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And honestly, guys, I mean, like you said, Lou, on paper, it's okay, right? And we didn't even mention the triple threat with Roman versus Seth versus Punk and how that's developing, and what we saw this past Monday with Seth having Heyman alone. People, the internet, the internet's going wild saying, "Yo, what if Heyman was just like, Seth's my guy? Like I'm going to roll with Seth." There's got to be something big from this match that we take from. It's not just that that Punk gets Heyman. It can't be that easy. There's got to be something else. There's got to be a twist. There's got to be something. Does Brock come out and be like, "No, he's my guy again"? Like, who knows? Like, who knows what's going to happen? I just think I think Seth getting him some Heyman might be good for him.
I got a hot prediction. This is going to be a really hot prediction because I haven't heard this one coming out of anybody's mouth. So Lewis from On the Mark Wrestling Podcast is calling this CM Punk turns heel coming out of this. He says, "Fuck everybody," and just lays Paul Heyman out, and like, or he turns heel, but like Paul Heyman aligns with him. Like Paul Heyman turns on Roman, but he doesn't join Seth. He joins CM Punk instead, and then we get the Punk and Heyman reunion that we haven't had in like since 2013, I think. So,
that's interesting.
Well, I mean, Punk is beloved. We all know that, but he ain't doing shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, give him something fresh to turn him fucking heel. Why not? Why not?
I hear you. I don't hate it. I don't hate
it. That's my take. Like, Punk is turning heel. Shit.
What you think, Joe?
I mean, I could actually, now that Lou brings that up, I could see that happening because if Jey Uso is your world heavyweight champ, he's going to need a foe. And who better than a heel CM Punk? That sounds like money right there. Babyface, Jey Uso, crowd loves him. They won't turn on him, maybe, for a CM Punk. It might be a good person to put a big bad heel against. And Cena's going to be busy going after Cody. So, yeah, I could see that.
That's
actually
a possibility. I don't know. That's a possibility. I didn't even think about it, but like Joe and Lewis, I agree with you. What is Punk doing? Like, what? Like, make him a heel. Just do it already.
Why not?
That might be. Listen, like I said, something big's going to come out of this match. It's too big with these three big personalities for nothing to just happen. Like, something's got to happen. If it's with Heyman or if it's within the three themselves, something's got to happen. So we're gonna keep our eye on it. Jey Uso probably had the best promo of his career this past Monday, which got me really interested in this match now. But people also saying he should be the main event, literally the main event of either night one or whatever. Well, obviously night one, not so much. But we'll see where they place him. We'll see where that match gets placed. I don't think he needs to be the main event, but people are complaining about it. But we'll see what happens, y'all. I want to talk about what's going around on the internet right now, y'all, with our boy Swerve. Swerve, after the pay-per-view AEW pay-per-view Dynasty, Swerve goes into the middle of the ring after losing and says, "F Booker T." Swerve. Swerve's not. See, I hated this because it took away attention from AEW's main event, about their heavyweight championship with two of their big stars. And instead, people are just talking about F Booker T. Now, was that the moment? Absolutely not. But here's the thing. Tony Khan has got to start taking off his belt and whooping people's asses with it. He's got to start doing this. This is getting ridiculous. Swerve would have never done that in a Triple H, Vince McMahon run ring. He would have never done that unless they said, Swerve, say what you want to say. If it's F Booker T, you got our permission. If that went down, then go ahead and do that. But Swerve, I guarantee, didn't run this by Tony. Tony is paying way too much money for people to just go out there and acting crazy. This is a pay-per-view. We're trying to stay sort of relevant in Mania season. And this is what you do? I don't know. I didn't love it. I thought it was an amateur move from a guy who is great in all aspects, but is clearly not that smart when it comes to the right time, the right place to say certain things to get attention and all that stuff, especially on this company's pay-per-view night. I wasn't feeling it. I just do that ish after the show or something, but not in the middle of the ring. Like, come on, man. I don't know. I just thought it was low brow, bro. Where y'all fellas at with it?
Well, first and foremost, yes, I agree with you, Kayode. I was disappointed in Swerve pulling a move like that. We all hold Swerve in such a high regard because he's one of the top faces in AEW, and you're representing a lot, like, in the alternative company. So if you're gonna throw anybody under the bus and talk your shit, and don't do it right after the main event of a pay-per-view in front of a live audience. Like, if you're gonna go on a rant, do it on Twitter, X, Instagram, social media, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait 24 hours after the event, because all that did was attract negative attention to the pay-per-view. And that's something that, for people who don't watch AEW is notoriously known for that, for those fans who, that's their perception of AEW. Like, oh, they're always putting their nose in, or rather, they're always putting their foot in their mouth. They're at the center of all types of controversy, backstage controversy when it comes to pro wrestling. So it was definitely disappointing. And, you know, Booker T is very respected in the industry. He really is. Influential African-American figure. And he continues to give back to the business. Swerve hasn't really done much. You know, yes, he was a former world champion AEW, but he hasn't done much for him to be considered one of the all-time greats. You know what I'm saying? He's not there yet. So it would be different if he was like a first ballot Hall of Famer or something like that, to be saying fuck Booker T.
Yeah, real.
But I think there's just a generational divide going on there, because if you don't know anything about Vlad TV, Vlad is like one of those personalities that likes to stir the pot. That's what his platform is made for. He stirs the pot. It's sort of like a messy platform, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, to give a brief history, you know, Booker T had mentioned how he was treated fairly during his tenure in WWE. But then on Vlad TV, when Swerve was on and he had given, you know, this interview or whatever, and he had brought up the infamous Survivor Series 2005 segment where where Vince McMahon approaches.
Oh,
That clip is viral everywhere. And I remember seeing that shit in real time. And my jaw just dropped. I was like, wait, what? So anyway, he goes up to Booker T. He's like, keep it up. No, he goes up to John Cena. That's what it is.
Yes.
He's like, keep it up, my nigga. And then Booker T is just there like, tell me he didn't just say that. But in any case, Swerve references that, and he's like, really, Booker T? Like, you're saying the WWE treated you fairly for 2 decades? Where, that kind of that right there, you just watched that segment, like that kind of contradicts what you're saying. But then Booker T responded on a podcast, I think it was his own podcast, and said, you know what, Swerve? You got played because Vlad was essentially stirring the pot.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a difference of opinion, a difference of vantage point, definitely a generational gap. Swerve is someone who takes himself serious. He's ultra confident, as anyone would be, because it's a battle of egos. But Booker T, he came out the following day and said, I see my name trending, and I see the clip, and I hear about whatever went down. I think Swerve is a really talented dude, but would I ever say anything positive about him again? Probably not.
Yeah.
But he just kind of
is not happy.
He's like, I'm moving on. Because Booker T, he's like, I'm too old for this. I'm not gonna get into conflict, but we ain't cool anymore. So
Joe,
don't burn. I'm telling you, man, don't burn your bridges, because that shit will come back to haunt you.
I didn't understand. Listen, Vlad's a troll. We all know that, But Joe, where's your thoughts on this, man? Like,
man,
what's going on?
This is a case of like Swerve had a good point in he was talking about his own experience in WWE. It was just the completely wrong platform. Like, why are you on Vlad? We all know. Everyone who listens to hip hop knows Vlad because of all the allegations of him stirring the pot, like Lewis said, or even being a Fed. Like, people legit think he's a Fed because he's gotten so many people caught up, because he does these interviews with these young drill type rappers where they just admit to crimes because they are excited to be on a platform that gets views.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden these people end up getting arrested, or whatever the case. So first of all, why is he Swerve even on this platform?
Right.
And then
seriously,
I did some research, and apparently Vlad has had a bunch of different wrestlers on his shit, like from years ago. So I think he interviewed Mark Henry, he interviewed Maven. Like, it was just random. And I was like, when the hell did wrestlers start going on Vlad TV? When did I miss this? And apparently Vlad's a wrestling fan, I guess, or he just likes stirring the pot. And like, it sucks because I think there is a greater conversation that could be had. And now it's all gotten lost because it turned into a Booker T versus Swerve beef, instead of what the initial conversation was, which was WWE isn't treating, or in Swerve's experience, didn't treat a black man the way he thought he should be treated.
Yeah.
And I listened to the full clip because I know like the clip of him just calling out Booker T went viral, but there's like a longer clip where he actually explains his whole experience in NXT and how he felt Triple H was kind of putting a glass ceiling on him. And it made sense what he was saying. And he even mentioned the difference between Shawn Michaels and Triple H when it comes to booking. And he said the moment that Shawn came around when he was in NXT, Shawn gave him the actual tools that he needed in order for Triple H to see him as a main event player. And before that, Triple H was just kind of stringing him along, which is what he was explaining. And I'm like, that is a great conversation to be had. I just wish he never called out Booker T, because now that whole conversation is lost, and all we're talking about is how he said it.
Yeah.
And like Kayode said, they had a pretty good pay-per-view. Like, the main event was okay, but before that triple threat match, Kenny Omega, Speedball and Ricochet. That was one of the best triple threat matches I have ever seen. Like, no lie. And now nobody's even talking about that. Like, that is, I would be so upset if I was on that card. I'd be so upset. Like, I gave up my body. This fucking first of all, the pay-per-view lasted way too fucking long. It was like 12:30 Eastern Standard Time when it ended. So like now all of your fans that stayed up late watching this are excited to talk about it the next day, and all of a sudden everyone's just talking about how Swerve said fuck Booker T. Like, bro, you did a disservice to the fans, you did a disservice to your coworkers and your company at that point. Like Kayode said, and maybe Tony Khan knew he was gonna say that. I don't know. Maybe he did. But if he didn't, like you said, it's time for him to tighten the belt and be like, yo, are playing around too much. We just put on a banger pay-per-view and now everybody's just and I get it. Everyone, controversy creates clicks and all that bullshit, but like, nah. This is not good controversy in my opinion. It's just messy.
No. And AEW can't afford to be messing around and not tighten the belt a little bit when they're trying to regain viewership and attendance and all that stuff. You cannot mess this up. Tony needs to lay it on him. Like, come on, man. This is ridiculous.
I don't know if I would ever want to work for Kayode, bro.
Listen, man.
He's a tough boss over here.
Listen, man. I'm telling you,
Mafia style.
You ain't going out in my ring ruining the night like you just said, Joe. After a 5-hour extravaganza, now you've turned all that attention to you about this negativity. Come on, man. You no.
And also, like, it's not going to lead to anything. Like,
nothing.
You can never get Booker T on AEW.
Right.
So why are we even doing it? I understand if it could build to a bigger match in the future, like if, let's say, for example, Gunther goes on after Raw and says, fuck Goldberg. And then all of a sudden it becomes viral and then they build to a Goldberg versus Gunther. That makes sense. But this will never happen. You guys are in two different companies. Booker T is never going to leave WWE. He has a cushy commentator position. He only got to work 1 day a week. He's chilling. Like, he ain't going nowhere. So what's the point of it? There's literally nothing you can do. There's no point.
No point.
Yeah.
No point to this at all. And speaking of Dynasty, guys, our biggest critique, I feel, was that Dynasty on a Sunday has no business being 5 hours. No business. Ending at like 12:25 a.m. Come on,
bruh.
Tony. If you are listening, watching, or get a transcript of this show by any point, you need to put these PLE pay-per-view special events on. Make this earlier, bruh. 6 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, something. But you cannot go into midnight, my guy. You got 11 plus matches. The card is bananas in terms of action and all this stuff. And listen, pay-per-view as a whole was decent. Again, AEW does not miss the mark. Are some pay-per-views better than others? Of course, you're right.
Yeah.
But we have never sat on this podcast saying that, damn, that pay-per-view sucked. That's never come out of our mouths since AEW's inception. Never. So the pay-per-view wasn't bad. It was just, come on, my guy. Like 11 matches. I'm looking at the watch. I'm falling asleep. Like, come on, man. We got to do better, Tony. You got to put these things on a little earlier, guy.
Yeah, I think they really need to take a page out of WWE's book with the earlier start times. Like, if you're going to have a Sunday pay-per-view event, it starts at 8 Eastern. Like, what's the harm in pushing it at least an hour back?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At least, make it 7 p.m. And if you got to push it to 6 p.m., they're doing a very smart thing now that I'm really thinking about it. I know All In is on a Saturday. More on that in a second. But I know they're doing the smart thing by pushing it to being a daytime show or, a late afternoon into early evening show. But then I read that the reason for that is because that night is WWE Saturday night's main event. So that was like the big rationale behind it. So makes sense, right? So if you're gonna be a very ambitious and overzealous fan, Saturday, July 12th, you're gonna be watching wrestling for about 10 hours. Like seriously, you're gonna be watching wrestling from, if you want to tune into 0 hour, you're gonna be watching wrestling from 1 p.m. to about 10 p.m. Eastern. Or rather, like 2 p.m. Eastern to about 10 Eastern. Something like that.
Marathon.
Yeah, that's a marathon. That's about the first 3 Star Wars series. Like you might be able to knock those out within the 10 hours.
Because I fully anticipate All In being like 4.5 hours. Yeah. But it's Saturday. It's at an early start time. It's a stadium show. That makes sense because it's like WrestleMania-esque.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, with pay-per-views going forward, they need to reevaluate the start times.
Yeah,
like
just
Double or
FYI.
Nothing, he may just stick with the 8 p.m. Start time because it's the day before Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
Or like the Saturday before. Like basically it's Memorial Day weekend. So I can see that. But if you're doing, let's just say Wrestle Dream or Full Gear later this year on a Sunday and you're going to start it at 8, then minimize the matches. If you don't want to push the start time back, then minimize the amount of matches. Like just decrease the count. Like have 8 matches. There's nothing wrong with that. Have 7 or 8 matches.
Yeah, and Mania this year starts at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, and 6 Central. So we all know WWE is disciplined. So they will end that show 10:30-ish. My prediction, the latest. Eastern.
I say 10:30.
The latest. Yeah. They are hard out.
I think they're gonna go to like 11. Last year they went kind of late with night 2.
Dude, I don't know, man. WWE's been a little stingy. Late. They've been a little stingy with like, especially like the Raws and stuff. They've been into like 2.5 hours.
You got a good point because they do have, since they're in Vegas, they're doing all those like after shows. So yeah,
exactly.
You're right. They probably have
yes. They got the
have a
roast and all this stuff happening. Dude, the Hall of Fame starts at 10 p.m. on Eastern. The Hall of Fame, they're starting that at 10 after SmackDown.
Yeah, West Coast time for East. What is it? 3 hour difference?
3 hour difference.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, because it's a 2 hour difference from here.
Eastern would be 10 p.m. for the Hall of Fame, and the format's a little different. So, which I'm intrigued about. I'm very curious to see how they do this, especially with the first ever moments or match induction with Austin and Brett WrestleMania 13. Mm-hmm. So. That's going to be interesting. So looking forward to that. But listen, we're on the road. We're almost there. Next week, our Super Bowl commences, and we're going to have a lot to say. Night 1 and night 2. Was it all worth it? Is it worth the $5,000 ticket prices that they're charging? My God, man. The tickets are insanity. I could buy a whole row, close to a whole row of tickets at All In for the same price. For the same price of one Mania ticket. That's crazy.
Makes sense.
Craziness, y'all. Phyllis, anything else before we wrap this show?
No, our next episode probably, it's going to be a reaction,
a big one.
A reaction episode right after night 2. Yeah. Our fresh takes. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. Real quick, want to give a shout out to one of our fans who sadly passed away. My barber, Vinny. He actually ended up passing away this past weekend, and he was a huge fan of our podcast. So, just shout him out. He put us on to the whole barbershop, so we got a bunch of fans just because of him shouting us out and stuff. Sad news, but he was a very loved man. So hope he rests easy. Rest in peace, Vinny. But yeah.
Rest in peace, man.
Yep. Hats off, man. Rest in peace.
Yeah,
man.
big fan of the show, so I had to give him a shout out.
Oh, 100%, man. Well, thank you for putting us on, and rest in peace, my guy. But yeah, listen, on that note, this is On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, episode 88. Keep listening, keep watching. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, at On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Join us next week because we got post-Mania shows coming up, man. Post-Mania shows. We'll see if we bring you something midweek. We'll see what happens, but if not, you're going to hear from us after Mania. It's almost here, y'all. We're almost there. I feel like it's a damn marathon to get us there, but we're there. We are there, y'all. I'm your boy Kayode, joined by none other than Joel and Lewis. This is On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, y'all. Peace.
You have just listened to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, a Scriptly adapted production. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at On the Mark Wrestling. And email us on onthemarkpodcast@gmail.com.